On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, money scams.
Welcome to the Crushing Debt Podcast with your host, Florida attorney Shawn Yesner, where our goal is to help you get rid of the financial bullies in your life.
So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law. And with me again in studio, in office, is your financial coach, George Corbello. Welcome, George.
Shawn, I have a bridge to sell you. I don't know if, it's one of those kind of things that I've been working on, and it's finally the paperwork is ready for you to sign.
Nice. Where do I sign? Can I sign through my power of attorney?
I only take Bitcoin and crypto, please. So that's no attorneys needed.
Absolutely. I'll just write you a check. It'll be there. Actually, why don't you send me a wire so that we know that it works? And then if you send me just a penny, and then in return, I'll wire you back the money.
Gotcha. That sounds like we've got the episode ready to go.
There you go. So what we're talking about today are money scams and how you can recognize them so that hopefully you can avoid them. Now, before we get there real quick, I want to mention our first of our two sponsors, Mark Purvis. Mark owns LegacySpotlight.com. He is also our editor. So Mark is the one to thank when the episode sounds good, and we're the ones to blame when it sounds bad. But he also has his website, LegacySpotlight.com. So if you want to capture stories, obviously not stories of how you've been scammed. I don't know, maybe you do want to capture stories of how you've been scammed as sort of a warning for those future generations.
Absolutely.
Or if you just want to capture stories of previous generations to tell your kids, your grandkids, whatever. If you want your grandparents' knowledge to get passed down to your grandkids, contact Mark at LegacySpotlight.com. He is an Emmy Award-winning videographer, and he comes out, he makes it fun. He's got all the equipment, the cameras, the whole 9 yards, so you'll enjoy it. But today, what we're talking about is money scams, and kind of the reason that this came to me as a potential topic. So I don't know if you know, you're about to learn this, George, when you get your house built and you finally move in. Once the deed gets recorded, you're going to get a letter. And that letter says, hey, we can get you a certified copy of your deed. Just send us $80, $100, $105, $50, whatever it is, and we will send you a certified copy of your original deed. And the reason it's a scam is because, at least here in Florida, you can get those deeds for free through the county website, and whatever title company you close with should send you the original of the deed.
Right. I thought that would be part of the cost.
Yeah. So not only will you have the original once it gets recorded, but you can go to so I can go to the county website where I live and pull up my deed. You can go, whatever county you end up buying in, you can go to that county's recorder's office. You can get as many copies. And if you said, you know what, but I really want that clerk certified copy, most clerks will charge, I think it's like $2.
Okay.
$1 per page. So when you get that letter that says,
I'll make sure.
pay us $80, pay us $100, and they're probably spending about $5, and they're making $80 to send you a copy of something you can get for free.
Wow, good to know. And a lot of times for a lot of these schemes to work is just unknown.
Yeah.
You're thinking like, oh my goodness, is that time of that I'm buying my house or doing these kind of things, and all of a sudden it's you're getting all these emails and letters, and wow, Facebook is telling me all of these things, and it's really all of that is tied to the algorithm, right? Whatever you type into Google, they all share the information. You're going to get inundated with emails with all that info. That again, more information. So good to know there. I'm not spending $80 when I'm getting ready.
And that's an easy one because I mean, even if you fall for it, your max out of pocket's $80, $100, whatever. It's not a huge amount of money in the grand scheme of things. And they send it. It's very official looking, and the way they word these letters, it makes it appear like this is something I have to have a certified copy of my deed. No, you don't, because whenever you need it, you can go to the clerk and get it for a couple of bucks. And that's if you don't have your original already. Right. So, but that was the one that kind of kicked off my idea for this potentially being a good episode, What scams have you run? I mean, what scams do you have for us, George?
Well, the ones you had mentioned, I mean, the easy ones like easy money offers, fake giveaways, sign up for this, or click on this link. You have phishing. Phishing is the biggest one that we, corporate world, and even with personal emails out there with click this link and you're gonna need to go do something, or you get your account has been locked.
Yeah,
click on the link.
I get those a lot. Your Yahoo account will be deleted if you don't click on this link.
Who uses Yahoo, man?
I use it for the association. So, but what I always do in those kinds of situations, or I get them from PayPal all the time.
PayPal, American Express.
Click on this PayPal
Correct.
link. What I do, if I get a click on this link, I'll go directly to the source.
Correct.
So I'll open up a brand new window, go to PayPal, sign into my PayPal account, and see if anything in there is wonky, and it never has been. I never click on the link in the email. But the phishing scam that you're talking about was something that happened to me a ton when I got on the HOA board. When you create an email account, you can say, my email account is whatever, Shawn@yesnerlaw.com. But when it comes up on somebody else's computer, I want the name to read as Shawn Yesner.
Right.
But I can change that and say, show the name appear as George Corbello,
right,
Fred Smith, Mary Jones, whatever I want it to be. And so what people will do is they'll create these fake email accounts, but say, when this email pops up, have it appear to be coming from Shawn Yesner.
Right.
And the email says either, hey, I'm stuck in this foreign country, or
right,
hey, I need your help. And please go to, whatever, Walmart, Target, whatever store, and buy all these gift cards and let me know when you've done that. And that happened a lot when I first joined the board, until I kept telling people, I'm not going to ask you for a gift card unless it's my birthday. And that only happens once a year.
And I'll do that in person.
Yeah, and I'll hit you up in person. So you want, whenever I get an email that says, buy us this or click that, the first thing I do is I click on who is it from.
Yeah,
because it could say it's from Shawn Yesner, but when you pull up the email, it actually is from ABC123
UK
at AOL.
Yep.
So you always want to click on and see who exactly the email is from. But,
Look,
that's
the other things I've noticed in those types of emails as well is grammar. It might be off too. Spelling, grammar. There's a few things that might be red flags when it comes to that kind of communication as well.
Yeah, whenever I see an email with bad grammar, I always question it. The other thing you can do too, and what a lot of people did for me, I would get a call from one of the other board members. Hey, I got an email from you that said you need gift cards. Is everything okay? And I'd have to say, no, I'm sorry. And the problem is there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
It's not like someone stole my email address or hijacked my account. They created a brand new account and just named it Shawn Yesner. So there's really nothing I can do to stop it.
You're seeing that also with like Facebook, with a lot of the Instagram accounts as well, where it's the fake account, doubled account, duplicated account. Hacked is one thing, but I think a lot of the accounts now are being created are just kind of like these dupe accounts that are close, maybe one letter off or @ sign, or they do a symbol, and yet they still act as if the person. And it's like, hey, friend me, me to that account, and that's another way to be able to get personal information as well.
Well, with me, it's some gorgeous woman on the other end, friend me, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
The only gorgeous woman that wants to be my friend is my wife.
There you go. So, good save. I like that.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I don't accept any friend requests unless I know who they are, or I'll look to see what friends we have in common, and if depending on who the friends are that we have in common, I'll accept. But I don't accept a lot of friend requests, and I'm the guy that will report accounts that I think are fake as well.
That's another good segue too that we're seeing with scams out there is these bot accounts. I think I mentioned before with you offline, but we talk about like Twitter is getting crazy now too. You're seeing a lot of accounts that are just automated. They're computer digital. There are no people behind it. It's just accounts for numbers. One thing that we're seeing, but a lot of them are also being generated to kind of like do this type of phishing. Hey, hi. It's not a person on the other side. It's just a bot to seeing if there's a response that's received. And we're seeing now with Chat GPT and all of those kind of things that are the enhancements we're getting. I love the enhancements, but it is making a lot easier to be able to like have a conversation now with AI.
Yeah.
And I think that's the scary part that we're seeing with some of this advancements in some of the scams too.
Well, and that then leads to the good old-fashioned romance scam.
Yep.
Which luckily, I recognized it and I backed out before I sent any money. But this is back in the days of AOL chat and that kind of stuff. And
early in its infancy. So that kind of makes sense.
And I had just broken up with my long time. I mean, I'd been dating this girl for 6-7 years when we broke up. And online one day, just surfing around the chat rooms, and I get this chat pop up. And the picture is this beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. And so I start corresponding with her over days and weeks. And eventually it gets to, I want to be with you. We can be together. You just need to help me get to the U.S. And you can do that by sending me.
Right.
And that's instantly when I was like, no. I was a law student at the time.
Right.
I'm like, I don't have any money anyway. So no, thank you. But I actually have had a couple of bankruptcy clients that got into bankruptcy trouble because they fell for that kind of a scam.
Yeah, I saw a few where, and there's a lot, I get it. There's a lot of lonely folks. We're all looking for that connection. Even in the digital, it's supposed to make it easier, but I feel like we're still disconnected. But I've had stories as well where like, hey, I'll help you kind of do your Bitcoin and, get your currency up and running. All you got to do is donate this kind of, or put this kind of money here. And of course, some of the scams even pull you along, where you're kind of like, oh, wow, I made money. And there's some money that's been made in one account. You're starting to see some progress. And then all of a sudden, you're a month in, and all of a sudden now the accounts are gone or emptied or, I had to do something to reinvest it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about that. So one of the other things that I'm seeing recently, so I've got like 1 or 2 games on my phone so that, if I'm really bored, I can sit there and play some games on my phone. And I always get the free versions. I never pay for any of that stuff. And so they always send you the ads. And all the ads that I'm seeing now, not all of them, but a lot of the ads I'm seeing now are play bingo for cash, play solitaire for cash, play this game, play that game, and you can win real money. And I always wonder, I bet you the first, day or the first couple of games, I'm sure you make a ton of money.
Right?
And then as you get addicted and as you keep playing, it's, oh, you're one card off. Sorry, you lose.
But isn't that how Vegas is as well? So, I mean, a lot of folks do the same thing. Slot machines might be one thing, but blackjack, it's like, oh, I make the good hit. You make make a good money on the one hand, right? And then you think like, oh, I'll be lucky enough, and I'll do it over and over and over again, and it just you spiral into that kind of process.
But at least in Vegas, you know what the odds are. I mean, we've got X amount of card decks in play, and we've got X amount of this, and the dealers have to. So, I mean, I agree, Vegas is nothing more than gambling, but I think it would be a little safer than
I think it would be
right. This online
right.
game.
I think the regulations that would be in place at least would protect again, I'll put that in quotes, protect the consumer.
Right.
But yes, I think it would be a lot easier than an online game, online poker. What's your thought? I guess for me, I'm looking at a lot of the sports betting. I mean, that seems to be there's no scam. I mean, again, no scams, but there is this offer. This I think what we call it advance fee, right? Hey, join now, and all you got to do is $50, and we'll double. We'll double your odds. We'll double your money in that initial bet. No guarantee that you'll be able to make that money back, but. Again, that seems to be the convenience is what we're getting into this gambling piece too.
Yeah, I'm always a little hesitant about online gambling and sports gambling. And there was that story about the guy that put down, like $1 million on the Super Bowl. And I wonder if that kind of stuff is real.
That's a good story.
Yeah, I don't know that is so much a scam. I mean, I agree. It's not regulated.
It's not regulated. That's probably where I was headed.
Yeah, it's not regulated. And again, we're not talking about this topic to make anybody feel embarrassed. I mean, these people are unfortunately professionals, and they are very good at what they do, and they are very good at sucking you in. We're more having this episode or talking about this topic to help you try to avoid some of this stuff in the future. So The other one that we talked about just before recording was the ransom scams.
Yeah, so there's a few of those so I think you had one that was specific to like access to hardware or something like that. What was the one, your example?
I had somebody email me and they said, if you don't pay us X amount of dollars in X amount of time through whatever Bitcoin,
Right.
whatever, we've got access to your cell phone and we're going to release all the pictures on your cell phone.
Well, what kind of pictures do you have? I saw it here. Like, you're right. Adult content scams. That's what it falls into that. Obviously, we take pictures. Some of it might be a little risque, to each their own. No shame in that game.
The worst picture I have on my phone
Oh, boy.
is when my son was a toddler and was in the bathtub.
Oh, those, they seem to, I hear you there. But I think you're safe there. But I think a lot of folks get nervous in a lot of things we think are privacy items that we should be in our home, in our phone. When we see emails like that, it's like we don't want to be embarrassed if they do get to public.
Some people have some crazy stuff in their phones.
I can imagine.
But yeah, I really had nothing in my phone that bothered me. I have nothing on my computer that bothers me. So, obviously I got client stuff on the computer. But I've got enough firewalls and whatnot to protect client information. But yeah, it was that. You were talking to me about one as well.
So I just did a day trip, a business trip recently, and on the news it was this scam of like ransom. Like, hey, someone got a call. It was a sister and a sister, right? One sister got a call. I have your sister under, captured. You have to pay this money amount, and you have to, do it by this time, or something's gonna, we're gonna harm your sister. Obviously, you get a phone call like that from a number, you freak out. You're like, what is happening? I need to call don't call the police. Again, normal stuff you see on TV, but it seemed to be, playing out. The person called, this was on the news too, the person called the mom, go check on sister, please, is she okay? Mom calls the sister's like, hey mom, how's everything? Everything's great, no problems, no issues. Are you okay? The mom is like freaking out because it's like, are you captured? Is someone there?
Right.
And of course, they're interviewing the sister like, what is wrong with you? Everything is fine. So that, for me, it was like, eye-opening, because it's like, wow, are we getting these type of scams now too? Because we see it on movies, you're like, no big deal. But when it happens in real life, I think I would freak out if they're like, oh, I've got your daughter, we've got your wife. Yeah. I would be freaked out, and just seeing that play out in that way, it's like, holy cow, I'd be a little nervous for sure. But I guess they're getting sophisticated now with that too.
They are getting really sophisticated. The other one that I see a lot are these timeshare scams.
Oh yeah.
Now, timeshares themselves, I think, are scams.
I think you put the words together there, but yeah.
But I had two different clients that both got letters from this company. We will help you sell your timeshare. And now I want to be really clear. There are legitimate companies out there that do that. But these companies that were scamming my client were saying, we'll pay everything.
Yep.
We take title. You just have to send us a small processing fee.
Right.
And it was really just a scam. And it's weird because you look up these companies and they have legit websites, but they don't really go anywhere. They don't really say anything. Like you said, the content on the website is just a big nothing. So if you own a timeshare and you get solicited by one of these companies, I would definitely be very, very careful. We're currently acquiring all of these timeshares in this particular area, and we want to acquire yours. Just send us. Well, wait a minute. If you're going to acquire my timeshare, how come you're not going to pay me?
Right. Exactly.
Why do I need to send you anything if you're going to acquire my timeshare? So I think the common theme there is anytime anyone says send me
the advance fee.
It's probably a scam.
Exactly. So I think I've seen the advice there. Stop and think. Why am I having to pay to receive the benefit? Whatever the fee, the benefit is. If it's a loan, if it's a winning, if it's a benefit like, hey, we'll take this off your hands kind of thing. And the other thing too to ask too is like, can I, do I trust the source? Where's this coming from? If it's just a random phone call or random text or random email, do the research. Stop. And there's no reason for any urgency to kind of like jump in right away.
I caught a scam once, so I get solicited all the time in emails that says, hey, I'm so and so, I'm in a foreign country. I have a client that owes me money, and that client is in your area,
right?
Whatever, Tampa Bay, Clearwater, whatever. Can you sue them for me? Please send me your retainer letter, and we'll initiate wires. All of that kind of stuff is scam. Once they get access to my trust account, now, potentially I'm done, and I could even get disbarred for that kind of stuff. The other one that I got that after researching, I discovered was a scam was also pretty interesting. It was, we need you to sell this piece of equipment. We need you to draw up the documents. And it was this huge, $1 million piece of construction equipment. And I looked it up on the internet, and the construction equipment was legitimate. It was legitimately for sale, but it was not for sale by the company that wanted me to draw up the paperwork to make it. And so I ended up calling I tracked down the ad where they had it for sale, and I ended up calling the seller, and I said, by the way, did you know this other company is also trying to sell your thing? Now, I don't know if that went down, how that went down or not. I just said, look, I'm not going to do anything about it, but know that somebody is out there trying to sell people your piece of equipment that they don't own. And
holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
That's one other thing then. So we talk about debt on this show itself. Bogus debt. Is there, so there's, we know that there could be debt that follows us, collective debt, things like that. But there are times when we get those same communications stating, hey, you owe this amount of money from the house, from the title, from the car, from a medical bill. How do we know it's a difference between a bogus debt itself that's, we're just trying to get money out of you?
Yeah, that one's harder because with debt that gets bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold, it is possible that it could be a legitimate debt that just got sold, 16 times.
Yep.
And I would ask for written proof. Send me something in writing that shows that you owe this debt. Send me something that shows you bought it. File something in court and let's figure it out in court. Do something like that. And we've had to do that for a couple of clients where we're trying to settle out debt that's been sold, 100 times. We've done that before where we've said, hey, listen, before we send you these settlement funds, you got to send us some proof that you own the debt.
Correct.
So I would ask for that as well.
And that shouldn't cost you any money as well as if I'm asking for proof, those people go away. Or they send you the proof. There shouldn't be any cost related to that. Once again, I shouldn't have to hey, I'm going to give you money so I can get proof.
No, they should be able to just mail it to you, email it to you, whatever. You've got the old-fashioned, tried and true, some prince in some foreign country died and left you $1 bajillion.
I'm still waiting for that money.
I think by now we all know that one's a scam. Although I did see a funny meme on social media going around that it was like whatever prince died and all they found was this huge pile of cash in his house that nobody wanted to claim. Now there is, by the way, the state of Florida has an unclaimed funds. So you can go, I forget what the exact website is. Maybe I'll try to find it and link it in this episode, but the state of Florida has unclaimed funds, so you can go to the state of Florida.
Nice.
And the problem is I think it was like $30, but the problem was it was for an old cable bill that I had, I guess, overpaid or they owed me a refund when I moved out or whatever. In order to get that money from the state of Florida, I had to prove that I lived at that apartment. I lived at that apartment 20, 30 years ago.
Okay.
I don't have any more proof that I ever lived there. I mean, I guess I could go to the apartment, but how long is it going to take me to get the information from the apartment complex to prove that I live there to get my $30?
Right.
I mean, that was a legitimate. You can go to the state of Florida. Let me see if I can find that website for the notes here. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, what else?
I would say, again, so guys, to think about it like this. I have some of the numbers from the FTC, some of the things here. 78% of consumers, victims on online purchase scams, most of them lost money in 2021, 2022. So that's, if you get scammed, the likelihood of getting that money back is pretty low in regards. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Phishing scams, estimate of Americans losing about $40 billion in 2022.
Wow.
So it's they're pretty good at what they do. So, and this is just basic things to kind of avoid as part of your your overall process. Again, I would say don't click on the link. Check your sources. Log into the system itself. Like these are just little things that can really avoid having some major losses later down the road.
The other big one that I've been a part of, a couple, thankfully not for me, but I've had a couple of clients go through this. Before you send a wire transfer, contact whoever it is you're supposed to send the wire transfer to, call them on the telephone and verify the wire instructions. Because a lot of times with these phishing emails and these scam emails, it'll look like the email came from the title company, and maybe the scammer intercepted the email from the title company, changed up the email address so it would go to him. They change one or two numbers on that ABA number or the account number. You send the wire thinking it's going to the title company, and it ends up going to the scammer. And now the title company says, well, I get it, but you still haven't sent us the money to do this closing. I've actually had that happen to a title company client of mine. They didn't verify the information. This was way back at the beginning when this first started. They didn't verify the information. So now anytime I send a wire, I call ahead first and say, hey, I'm sending you a wire. I just want to make sure that and I talk to either the person that sent me the email, the opposing attorney, one of the assistants, one of the people in the accounting department, whoever, to make sure that before I send that wire out, I know where it's going.
So now that I'm getting ready to, again, buy a house, that's a great advice, because these down payments, you're doing 10%, 20% down. That's a lot of money to lose on two letters, two numbers change.
Two numbers change.
No, thank you.
I would definitely either hand walk a check into the title company for the deposit,
that's not a bad idea,
or call ahead and verify the wire instructions. The other one that came up in our background here was employment scams, charity scams. But again, it all comes back to, if people are asking you for money for something, you got to be aware. So these employment scams, they promise guaranteed work in exchange for an upfront fee.
Yep.
If you're going to do something like that, go to an employment agency. Although I don't know that the employment agencies charge the employees. They charge the employers.
Correct.
So if anybody says, send me money and I'll find you a job, that's probably a scam.
Yep. Bogus products, bogus services, definitely something to keep in mind as part of any research or anything that you're doing. I got to say, even being in the coaching business itself, you have to, again, these are things that we have to worry about in regards to the type of products. Don't want to come across as being that scam for folks as well. It's like, no, here's the value, here's what I can provide you in your journey as well. But I get it. It still sounds too good to be true.
I mean, it's your money. You worked hard for it. Before you give it away, you just make sure you do your due diligence.
Do your due diligence, meet some people, and don't send the money out before you have that trusted relationship established. Even
to the point of calling me, call George.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can help talk you through it. If you're going to send somebody money, I would just wait.
Yep. Stop and think.
Stop, wait, talk to somebody about it. Look it up on the internet. I just got a call from ABC Company. So type in ABC Company scam and see what pops up.
Trust. I would imagine there's always a lot of feedback and comments in the social media world. That's for sure.
So I think that might do it for this week's episode. But you know what's not a scam? Watch this.
What's not? Oh, segue.
You know what's not a scam?
Patreon.
The Patreon page is not a scam. If you all want to help support us by becoming patrons of the show, that is not a scam. We are not trying to scam you out of your money. We're only going to use any of that money to supplement what we do here on the show and make things better for you. So you can find that at Patreon/CrushingDebt. Also, all the social medias, the TikToks, the YouTubes, all of that kind of stuff. We also do want to give some love to our other sponsor, Sam Cohen. Sam is with Attorneys First Insurance. And so Sam, actually, if you are an attorney or title company, I think Sam can sell you the type of insurance that would protect you from losing money in a scam like this, the wire fraud scam, that kind of stuff. I think Sam does. If he doesn't, I know he can connect you to somebody who does. But Sam basically sells errors and omissions or malpractice coverage for attorneys and title companies all over the country. So you can reach him, Sam, at attorneysfirst.com, or that's his website, attorneysfirst.com.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. I think that'll do it for this week's episode. Money scams. Again, before you send out any money, just verify what you're doing there. And so that will help you have more money at the end of the month rather than month at the end of the money. And we will talk to you in next week's episode of the Crushing Debt podcast.
If you have questions that you think would make a great topic for a future episode, please email Shawn or connect with us on social media. Shawn Yesner and Yesner Law, PL, are Florida licensed attorneys. The information contained in this week's episode is not a substitute for legal advice. Your situation may differ, especially if you are located somewhere other than the state of Florida. If you have questions, please contact our office or contact a local attorney. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.